I think we're gonna go ahead and get started. Colin, did you want to say anything?
Hello, can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
Yes, we can.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back if you're just joining us. This is the opening session of the regular schedule for the annual meeting of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. We just spent the morning in a pre-conference session, but now we'll go into our regularly scheduled programming at 1 o'clock. Welcome. I'm coming to you live from St. Louis, Missouri in the wonderful and highly advanced, I have to say, Worldwide Technology Tech Auditorium at their world headquarters here in Missouri. They were gracious enough to open their doors to us and allow us to anchor this meeting, once again being virtual from here. And as you can see, nobody does tech like Worldwide Technology. And they have been a fantastic partner in helping us build this meeting and present it to you. We're going to go through just some administrative items real quick, and then we're going to get into our first session, which features Mayor Cantrell of New Orleans. Very excited about that. I will hand it back to Brant now, just so he can go over how you best can participate and how you make the most out of this digital experience with our annual meeting. Brant?
Yes, hello, and welcome to our event. If you have any questions, feel free to talk to me in the chat and message me there for any problems or issues. If you'd like to ask any questions of our panelists, please use the Q&A function during the presentation. I know that Mayor Cantrell is running late, so I will toss it over to the co-chairs.
Well, thank you, Brant, and thank you, Colin. Appreciate you guys. Good afternoon, and welcome to the first session of our digital version of our 10th annual meeting of the Mississippi River Cities and Towns Initiative. If you're just joining us, my name is Bob Gallagher. I'm the mayor of the city of Bettendorf, Iowa, and co-chair of the MRCTI. Presiding over this session with me is our other co-chair, Mayor Sharon Weston Broom of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. This morning, our annual meeting began with a pre-conference forum on bringing global investment to the Mississippi River Corridor infrastructure. We'll continue on that theme this afternoon by profiling completion of the first MRCTI Qualified Ventures Environmental Impact Bond Challenge project that was awarded in March of 2020 to New Orleans. You'll recall that in March of 2020, MRCTI and Qualified Ventures selected Memphis and New Orleans as the winners of our grant to design and deploy environmental impact bonds for an environmental improvement project in those two cities. Today, we are ready to share the results of the New Orleans project. The Memphis project is ongoing, and we will be in a position to profile that project at our Capitol meeting in March of 2022. It's my honor to recognize my co-chair to introduce our speakers, Mayor Sharon Weston Broom of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Sharon, you have the floor, and it looks like Mayor Cantrell is getting set up, so that's a positive sign.
Well, thank you so much, Mayor Gallagher. You know, as I shared earlier during one of our conversations, we have a lot going on here in the state of Louisiana. And certainly we are navigating and monitoring weather conditions even as we're on this call today. But it certainly is my pleasure to introduce my colleague and someone that I affectionately call my sister mayor, Mayor LaToya Cantrell, the mayor of New Orleans. All of us here, as I said, in South Louisiana have been going through quite a bit during this season. We've got recovery going on, and I can confidently say that we were better prepared this year than we were in 2005. So pursuing real resilience on multiple paths for different types of infrastructure has certainly paid off. And part of that includes designing and financing resilience projects based on desired outcomes with science-based metrics. Few mayors have done this better than Mayor Cantrell, and MRCTI has been pleased to support that work at both the federal and local level. As I said, Mayor Cantrell and I work from a regional perspective, whether it's around water issues, water management, infrastructure issues. We consistently collaborate. And I am excited to bring on Mayor Cantrell to remark on her exemplary resilience work and introduce her EIB project with Damon Byrne, President and CEO of Finance New Orleans. Mayor Cantrell.
Mayor Cantrell doesn't seem to be available right now. Mayor Byrne?
Okay. So Damon, do you want to go ahead and give your remarks in terms of the EIB project?
Yes, thank you. I can step in now and share the presentation.
Okay, thank you, Damon.
And Damon, this is Colin in St. Louis. Just real quick before you get started, there is one thing we can cover in this transition, just real fast. I wanted to point out to folks that we do have a digital folder. Neglected to mention that in the beginning, sorry. Digital folder available for everyone to follow along with the help of the agenda on what we're announcing and what we're doing, including EIBs and other announcements. That is on the website. So if you go to mrcti.org and you click on the digital conference folder, all the resources throughout the conference will be available there. And they are in the order that they are presented in the agenda itself to make it easier. We're actually going to be adding to that folder later today for tomorrow's platform, but that should give you what you need. Secondly, there is one other person that we wanted to thank beyond our New Orleans contingent, and that is Eric Letzinger. Eric, with Quantified Ventures, has really been the driving force around this partnership at QV with MRCTI to deploy EIBs on the Mississippi River. Not just EIBs, but what you'll learn about in a little while, also outcome-based financing as a whole, which really opens the door to a larger set of projects and possibilities for all of our cities. But we're really excited about what New Orleans was able to make happen with their EIB challenge, and it's a first. And Damon's going to go through that. And Damon, I'm not going to steal any of your thunder. I want to say thank you for joining us, and I'll go back to you. Just wanted to plug in the folder for folks and to thank Eric. Thank you, Mayor Broom. Damon, please.
Thank you, Colin, and thank you again, Mayor Broom. And thank you everyone for your attention today. I'm happy to be here. My name is Damon Burns. I represent Finance New Orleans. I'm the CEO, and I've been with the organization for a little over 5 years now. And I'm going to talk to you today about what we've been doing over the past 5 years and how we've been working with Mayor Cantrell's team and her vision for the city of New Orleans to implement a finance plan that goes along with the resilience strategies that the city's been trying to put in place. I say since Katrina, but since before Katrina. This is just the ongoing story of New Orleans, living by water, living under the water, as we say down here. And we want to continue to live here, so we have to come up with strategies and ways to do it. So I'm going to share with you a presentation on what we've done using the funding that we received from the EIB challenge. And I want to thank Colin and the organization for selecting New Orleans alongside Memphis. I know many other cities applied for this funding and could use it to do a variety of things in their cities. So we're very grateful that we were highlighted in this process. And hopefully we're doing some things that we can compare notes with other cities and share strategies. Can everyone see my screen?
Yes.
Great. So a little bit about Finance New Orleans. We are a quasi-governmental green financial institution created by the City Council of New Orleans in 1978. Our original mission was singularly focused on affordable housing. We were created around a time when many other housing finance agencies were being created throughout the country. And over time, we widened our focus to include economic development. And now we're going to talk about our inclusion of climate resilience into our strategy. But we report to the City Council, and we have a 7-member board that's appointed by that City Council. And of course, we work closely with the City of New Orleans because the city is our beneficiary, and all of the value flows back to the city. We do have a history of making investments in New Orleans. Over time, or before Katrina, we invested up to $650 million, mainly in single-family home ownership programs. And those programs were very basic and similar to what other housing agencies were doing around the country, providing families with affordable first mortgages as well as down payment assistance. And that's a very important aspect of our economy and many other economies. So we're going to continue to do those types of things, but we ran into some trouble with Hurricane Katrina and the Great Recession. And I'll talk a little bit later about how our portfolio was affected greatly by Hurricane Katrina. In response to these disasters, we reimagined our vision and reimagined what kind of impact we could provide for the city of New Orleans. So we know that over time, we have provided value to the community because we always hear from families about how they bought their first home from Finance New Orleans. And without that opportunity, they couldn't buy that second home or buy that investment property that has now put them in a different financial position. So we hear those stories over and over again. So we know that we're valuable and we want to continue our valuable, but we had to take a really hard look at the issues. Number one for us is sea level rise. You know, we're dealing with water. We're coming off of an event. We're going through an event actually right now in Texas. There's some troubling weather and we're getting a little bit of the effect of it. So we're always dealing with water. So that's priority number one. The cost burden of renters in New Orleans is over 51%. We have an affordable housing crisis. There's a crisis all over this country. So we're trying to come up with strategies that align with some of our partner agencies around the country, but what are unique to New Orleans as well. Internally, we had a 95% reduction in our balance sheet. We had a $400 million portfolio before Katrina hit. That was narrowed down to about 30 million in the aftermath once everything settled. So when I took over the agency 5 years ago, we started out at about $30 million in assets. And I'll talk a little bit later about where we are today. And then of course, there's the energy crisis that we're dealing with. Low-income households, even with the unaffordability of the housing itself, the utilities, the energy, we have an old housing stock in New Orleans. So we have to rethink about how do we maintain that historic character, but also bring homes into the next century? How do we modernize them? How do we prepare them for this new economy and this new world that we're rolling into? So we looked at all of these factors and many others and decided to come up with a new strategy. And so thus far, we have achieved some research and development milestones, beginning with the grant from MRCTI. This grant really helped jumpstart this process for us. We've been planning this for a while and hadn't been able to get any real traction because we hadn't done the research and development. We hadn't done the work to determine what this will look like. We had to go through the details. So when we went out to the market and started asking for funding, asking for support on programs, the market wanted to see a more holistic strategy from us. And that's when we got out and started looking for resources to help us build out that plan. And we came across this particular challenge, and we were able to gain the attention of MRCTI and Quantified Ventures, because we talked about building not just an environmental impact bond project, but a system that could build a series of environmental impact bonds. Before we went forward with any one project, we had to really understand what the entire system could look like so that we can build some sustainability around it. So that process started in December of 2019, and we've been working very closely with Quantified Ventures up to even through this very moment. They're helping us to continue developing this strategy. And I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we did on the business model development. We also received a grant from C40 Cities to help us launch what we call the Resilient New Orleans Finance Plan. And in short, the Resilient New Orleans Finance Plan is an extension of the city's climate resilience plan, which needed a financial component. So as the city's finance agency and green banking authority, we took the lead in developing a plan around the financial impact or the financial needs of not just Finance New Orleans, but other agencies in the City of New Orleans, Sewage and Water Board, RTA, all of these other groups are a part of this plan as well. And it's a collective action plan. And so we designed our overall vision on that collective action plan. We also set up a CEA of affordable housing with the City of New Orleans and Louisiana Housing Corporation, so that we can collaborate on sustainable development projects. So the development that happens in New Orleans flows through Finance New Orleans. We also joined the American Green Bank Consortium, and we're working collaboratively with over 20 plus green banks around the country that are doing these same things in their cities. Also, there's the off of these early programs. Also, we closed our first green mortgage product in August of 2021, just last month, and we had one, so we have a long way to go, but we feel really good about the value that program can provide to the city, especially in light of the situation we're going through at this moment. And this is just a snapshot of what I talked about a moment ago, the Resilient New Orleans Finance Plan. We use this to develop our individual vision for the City of New Orleans. And the other agencies are doing the same. Here are a few of the pieces that come out of the plan. I encourage you to read it. We're going to release it to the public very soon, but it includes climate action, sustainability, green economic development, and social equity as the basic building blocks of a green finance system. And then we also looked at the specific types of projects that could come out of this system. Renewable energy, green buildings, clean transportation, water management, nature-based solutions are all of the categories that we've identified that are specific to New Orleans and that need the investment, that need more resilience. So this is going to be the focus for us and other agencies moving forward. Now, the vision that we developed for ourselves is based on our need to recover from Hurricane Katrina and the Great Recession and all of the other events that have happened since then, but also create a big impact for New Orleans. We need a series of investments, as you saw on the last slide, in order to reach what we call a true state of resilience so that we can be sustainable and continue to bounce back and just live through the different crises that we'll go through based on our geography. So our new strategic vision for the agency is a resilient New Orleans with opportunity for all. We also came up with a new mission statement, which is to improve the quality of life in the City of New Orleans by investing in affordable housing, economic development, and climate resilience projects that create jobs and wealth for residents. And we wanted to look at those different areas through a broad lens. So we came up with 4 strategic vision goals. One is to use climate resilience to physically transform New Orleans. We want to actually see the change happen. And we want to measure whether or not our investments are doing that. We want to create economic and education opportunities. Every time we finance a project, that's a chance for a local business to grow, to have a chance at a transaction. We want to build public wealth so that we can have financial sustainability as an organization, but also have the funds to reinvest in the community and build up different areas of need. And then we want to grow as an agile and innovative organization. It's going to be hard to do all of these high-level things without being thoughtful about having a modern organization, modern profile as a government organization, which can be complicated, and moving agile is not always easy on the public side, but we endeavor to move as quickly as we can and to be a model for how government agencies can be innovative and lead from the front. So we developed 4 core service areas, which we're going to use to deliver these investments. Sustainable housing. Housing has been our one thing for over our 40-year history, but we're moving beyond it. We're using it to expand. So sustainable development is more focused on developers and helping them build units at scale. Resilient infrastructure is for helping small businesses and governmental agencies make resilience investments in their physical infrastructure. And then resilient innovation is what we see as our ability to experiment and create new ideas for each one of these areas, because it's going to be an ongoing process. The products that we have today, we think are going to look different in 10 years, because this market is just going to continue to evolve. Technology is still very new. So we're at the very beginning, and we do expect rapid change to occur. So these core service areas flow into a larger business model, which is essentially using public finance tools to enact resiliency. So we've created what are called green mortgages, which are mortgages that don't just help you get into the home, but it also helps you upgrade the home with resilience. Mortgage revenue bonds, which has been a steady business over the last 40 years for governmental agencies like ours. We're expanding that business line as well and adding green mortgage options for developers and not just homeowners. Tax exemptions, we provide property tax exemptions alongside multifamily bonds for affordable housing projects. These tools together make projects more affordable. And this is a direct result of the partnership that we have with Mayor Cantrell's office and the City Council to stimulate more affordable housing. So using as many public finance tools as we can. Green infrastructure bonds, green building loans. We offer all of these things through a network of capital providers, local commercial banks, credit unions. We're trying to develop relationships with investment banks we've had substantial relationships with over the years. We use that network to help us package products and ultimately investments for muni bond investors, impact investors, and mortgage investors. So this is the network of activity that we're managing on a daily basis. And this work, what you see on the screen, is a direct result of the work that Quantified Ventures has helped us do to flesh out this green finance business model. And this is what it looks like on the ground. This is an actual shot of a neighborhood in New Orleans. We'd like to see the acquisition of 1 to 4 unit family homes, energy efficiency retrofitting, hurricane resistant roofing, green infrastructure, solar energy production and battery storage, rain barrels and gardens, or other water technologies. These are actual things that can happen through the products that we're creating right now. So one green mortgage can create these opportunities for just one family or multiple projects. So we're taking a real inside out approach. We've invested in housing, but we learned that you got to invest in the infrastructure as well so that we can have more holistic neighborhoods. And here are the impacts that we like to see: affordable and sustainable housing production, green job creation, storm water mitigation, community awareness and action. This doesn't go anywhere without the community supporting it and understanding the basic need for it. The deployment of green technology and reduction in CO2 emissions. And there are many other things that we're going to be measuring, but these are the key items that stand out for our strategic plan. And in terms of how do we make this sustainable, this all costs money. I mentioned at the very beginning, we are a financial institution. So how do we afford this plan and create the type of impact that we'd like to see? Well, here's a snapshot of our investment profile. In 2016, when we began the journey of becoming a green financial institution, we had about 17 million in program assets or investments left over. And I mentioned earlier, we had as many as 400 million on the single family side, and the remaining 17 million is a direct result of what happened to us during Katrina and the recession. So we've been on a mission to rebuild the program and the portfolio so that we can create that sustainability. And you can see in 2021, everything is starting to move. And this has been purely from the sweat equity of the team, of the other supporting agencies and the city, that we've been able to start stimulating investment on our multifamily side. We have a series of projects in our pipeline and a few that we expect to close at the end of this year that will bring our community investment to 140 million at the end of 2021. So that's a good start, but we got a long way to go, because our 2030 community impact goal or investment goal is to get to 1 billion. And this is very plausible for us because one, we know we have a pipeline of multifamily and infrastructure projects out there that have been in demand for quite some time, but the financial tools or the market conditions haven't been ready for us to have that kind of investment. But we've been preparing ourselves to make that investment. And there's a lot more coordination among the housing agencies in the city with the city of New Orleans, the Mayor Cantrell's office, and the finance agency. So that collaboration has allowed us to start getting that portfolio going to that 140 million point. We want to get to 500 million by 2026. And going into the 2030s, we want our portfolio to be at $1 billion. And we see this happening purely from the core service areas. And we know the market opportunity is there. The sheer number of buildings, single family homes, multifamily properties, municipal buildings, commercial buildings, all of that activity alone could bring us over the $1 billion mark. So that's what we're working towards. But in order to get there, we're going to need a variety of sources of capital. The city has been providing us with investment over the last few years, and we're going to continue to work with them. I mentioned that we're members of the American Green Bank Consortium. As such, we've been a part of the movement to create a national green bank or clean energy accelerator, which would take funding from the federal government and then apply that funding toward a network of national green banks around the country, which we are a part of. And that could be a substantial injection that would help us to provide more resilient products to our community. We also are going to need commercial lines of credit and credit enhancements from commercial banks, grants and program related investments from foundations, green impact and sustainability bonds that are going to flow from our programs as we make more green mortgage loans to homeowners, developers, and municipalities. So, these sources are going to be used in a variety of ways. Internal operations, we are trying to modernize ourselves, so we need to do a substantial upgrade on the technology in our office building, and some of that work has already started. We need lending reserves in order to offer this capital, to make capital more affordable, to make it more available. It's just going to require us to have some back end dollars to support these programs. And then the end result that we'd like to see for our use of capital: green mortgages for homeowners and developers, green building and infrastructure loans, and other types of special projects that are going to physically transform New Orleans. So, that work is going to take us a long time, but we do have some really good milestones ahead of us that I'd like to share with you. Number one, we're expecting to get back into the bond market for the first time in a very long time. This November, we have a multifamily project, a few multifamily projects that we're expecting to close. But we're really excited that we're getting back in through this program because we haven't been active in the bond market in quite some time. In November, we're also hosting our Resilient New Orleans Investor Summit. That's in partnership with the City of New Orleans and the New Orleans Business Alliance. We're going to talk more about the Resilient New Orleans Finance Plan and other investment opportunities that we have available in the city. We're also going to expand the green mortgage options for homeowners and developers. Right now, it's a very basic product that allows homeowners to get in and do some energy efficiency retrograde or upgrades. But we need more investment. We need investment for stormwater upgrades. We need investment for roofing, hurricane resistant roofing. There are all types of elements that go into protecting a home. So we're going to be making sure our green mortgage product accommodates all of those needs. And then in March of 2022, we're looking forward to closing out on the funding that's going to come out of the Green Bank Accelerator. And then we're also looking to execute projects in our resilient infrastructure and innovation side. I talked a lot about the housing today, but we're also at the same time thinking about the infrastructure and making sure that we're going to be ready once it's time to create the spark on that side as well. So that concludes my presentation today. I appreciate your attention and look forward to spending some time learning from you. I know we're in virtual mode right now, but I know this is a great network and we'd like to learn more and hear from you. So visit our website, www.financenola.org. We also have a brand new investor relations site that we're going to start pumping information through. So this is a snapshot of it. That's our Chief Business Officer, Byron Badger, you see on the screen. So we have a really good team of people that are working every day to really make New Orleans a better home, to improve, to make it more resilient, and just do what needs to be done. Just play our role. So thank you again, Colin. Thank you to the rest of the organizers, and I'll turn it back over to you now.
Mayor Broom, Mayor Cantrell has joined us if you'd like to introduce her again.
Certainly. As I said earlier, Mayor Cantrell and I share a very strong bond here as mayors in a thriving region, but also a region that has had to be extremely resilient on multiple paths. Right now, as you heard someone say, we're managing weather events on a very consistent basis, including right now. And Mayor Cantrell certainly has demonstrated her innovation and creativity around desired outcomes with resilience projects, many as you just heard from Damon. But now let's hear from Mayor Cantrell herself as she gives her perspective on the exemplary resilience work she and her team have done. Mayor Cantrell?
Oh, Mayor Broom, thank you so much, my sister mayor. And also, Mayor Gallagher, thank you, for your leadership and the importance of our Mississippi River and the sustainability and the resiliency that we're striving, towards to ensure that we're here for generations to come. I appreciate Damon's presentation. Thank you, Mr. Burns, for again, your leadership with FANO, because you've brought real creativity and innovation, especially as it relates to partnerships, one with this organization, with Qualified Ventures, and just thank Qualified Ventures and MRCTI, for your investment. And I hope you saw through Damon's presentation that we really are focusing on just green infrastructure, the impacts of it, how it will improve the overall quality of life and sustainability of the city of New Orleans, but having a real focus on equity and inclusion for the people of this city, from the business side as well as the residential side of things. The environmental impact bond, this is something so vitally important to advancing all of these infrastructure improvements that we know we need to continue living in our coastal communities. And so I just say, thank you. And if you all have any questions at this time for Damon, based on the presentation, I think it would be a good opportunity now to do that, if you don't mind.
That's fine, Mayor Cantrell, and thank you for joining us. I know you are certainly doing a deep dive into recovery from Hurricane Ida, as well as keeping your eyes out for the next weather event. I would love for us to entertain questions at this time, but would also like to bring in Eric Letzinger from Quantified Ventures. And certainly Quantified Ventures vision has certainly been part of this transformative process. Thank you for your innovation and coalition building around outcomes-based financing for environmental improvements. In September of 2019, we opened our Environmental Impact Bond Challenge by inviting 2 projects along the Mississippi River. And now we're poised to open another challenge, inviting more project proposals. Eric, would you join the conversation now?
You bet. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. And Mayor Cantrell and Mayor Strickland, it's been a joy to work with your teams who were the first recipients of the outcomes-based challenge that we did back in 2019. Super excited about the Memphis Environmental Impact Bond. That's $20 million to go to a whole bunch of much needed green infrastructure to address a lot of the flooding challenges that city wrestles with every day. And Mayor Cantrell, I have to just agree with you 1,000%. It has been, frankly, one of the highlights of my professional career to get to work with Damon Burns and his team, because they're just they're just so open to how to do it differently, but they're so determined. And you combine those things and they're just making incredible progress. And the products that they're rolling out to the city and to the residents who just absolutely deserve all that creativity. It's just exciting to be a part of. And when we started working with Damon, we're like, okay, let's get to work on an environmental impact bond. And Damon's like, I have another idea. And right. And that's Damon, because and so he's right at the whiteboard and he's like, I have a crazy idea. And I'm like, we like crazy. And then, 9 months later, we have structured the first ever mortgage product to incentivize cities and homeowners to build some of these practices on their properties and to make that financially attractive and interesting and compelling. And that it's just been a real joy. So listen, so when Colin called and said, hey, Eric, let's do another MRCTI challenge, that was easy math for me. I jumped at that opportunity. And so the good news is we went back to some of our original funders and shared the wonderful successes that are underway in this in this basin. And then, so they jumped back on it. So the good news is we're going to do round 2. We're going to do a second MRCTI challenge. And by the way, we are now calling them outcomes-based financing challenges, which I realize is a mouthful. I'm no marketing guy. I'm just a finance nerd. But the reason we don't call them EIB challenges anymore is because people like Damon came up with new things. And so rather than restrict people to do the things that we came up with in the conference room, we're just calling it an outcomes-based financing challenge. We'll work with Colin to get it rolled out to the cities up and down the Mississippi River. It is also the good news is this one is 3 times bigger than the first one. So we'll have a lot more cities being able to participate in this. And that's the end of my announcement. And I couldn't be more thrilled with how the first round went. And I couldn't be more proud of the teams that we've gotten to work with, and looking forward to working with more of the cities up and down the Mississippi River. So cheers to you all.
Well, thank you so much, Eric, for your partnership. This is truly exciting, and we will work to improve our quarter through the industry of more cities within our CTI's cohort. Now we want to open up things for some dialogue and questions, and participants can take part either through the raise your hand function or chat. Our stage manager, Brant, will be monitoring both. Any questions or comments for Mayor Cantrell, Damon, or Eric?
Mayor Broom, this is Colin. I just wanted to point to someone in the audience for Mayor Cantrell. Mayor Cantrell, it's great to see you. Hope you're staying safe. This is Colin in St. Louis. I wanted to let you know that Mayor Phil Stang, one of your best friends, is on with you right now. He is, for those folks that don't know, so we were able to put together some disaster assistance for Mayor Cantrell last week after Hurricane Ida, working closely with her team and her folks like Jabari on the ground. Mayor Cantrell, I have to tell you, Mayor Stang, he did global logistics his entire career before he decided to become mayor. And we didn't have a way to get those generators to you. And they were going to take like 8 days to get to you. But Mayor Stang stepped in and he made it happen within 24 hours.
Yes,
actually a little
did.
less.
Yes, he did. Yes, he did. And I had to call my brother Mayor right away and tell, and Mayor, thank you again, so much. Those 25 generators, you got them here in record time, and we put them to use. And strategically, in areas throughout the city, community nodes and hubs that allowed for generation of power for our cooling centers while we awaited the restoration of power throughout the city. And so that really is what partnerships are all about. And I had no idea, Colin, about the logistical background of Mayor Stang, but guess what? He proved it without even knowing about it. So I thank you again.
Yeah. He sure did. I don't know how you did it, Mayor Cantrell, but somehow Mayor Stang is speechless. which is a very rare occurrence. I've never known him to be like that, unless his mic's broken.
I think it is. And I think that you guys probably have something to do with it on the technology center there at the worldwide headquarters. Any other questions, comments, discussion?
We don't have any questions in the chat or the Q&A function.
I see that.
Actually, I got Mayor Gallagher, I did get a question earlier this week, well, yesterday, today's Tuesday. I got a question. I was talking about Eric's announcement to some of our stakeholders on a call yesterday, and they were asking me, Eric, a little bit about timeline and types of projects that would be fair game for this. And I said, you know what, I'll ask Eric tomorrow. This was yesterday. So there you go. That was one of the first things we got from some stakeholders on Monday.
Absolutely, absolutely. First of all, we're sprinters, so we will not be lollygagging. We'll get this out to people as quickly as humanly possible, because we know the need is great, and we know there's projects that are ready to go, that need a different way of getting them done, because they're stuck for a variety of reasons, and that list can be very long. The first challenge we did was very focused on flooding and water quality, energy efficiency. I think what we'll do with this round is work with Colin and his team to really get a sense of what you all need, what you all want, and what your priorities are. This is a pretty flexible process. We are partners in crime. And so this isn't something that gets designed from on high and delivered. We will want to be selecting projects that are high impact projects and that have and that are stuck like I said, for a variety of reasons. What we are finding by rolling out this outcomes-based financing approach across the country, this will be our 7th one of these challenges. We've now done them all over the country. This is a way to finance things that are either lacking public or private capital, difficult to finance, difficult to fund, but are high impact and need to get on the field tomorrow. So maybe I'll leave it there, Colin, and we'll follow up with more details as we start to engage.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Eric. Appreciate that. And I had a question for Damon that was actually given to me by one of the investor folks on Wall Street that we met with this morning. A member of that crew, Eric. Damon, so when you do these green mortgages there in New Orleans, what would you say is your idea about scaling that further? Like how many of those do you want to be made available? How far do you think they can go in terms of improvements? What do you think their ongoing marketability would be?
We actually studied this with Eric and his team, and we're restudying it now, trying to figure out what is the right target for market size and market potential. But our early estimates suggest that there's a potential for us to issue as many as 1,500 mortgages in a given year, green mortgages. Historically, Finance New Orleans has issued mortgages as high as 400 or 500 in a year. And we haven't been at that level in a while. So I mentioned earlier in the presentation, we did one green mortgage. We're starting out from the ground floor, but we think this program has scaling potential because it goes beyond first-time home buyers. This program is now available for owner-occupied housing, and that's it's a first-time offering for our agency in the city, and that's something I know Mayor Cantrell's office gets hits about all the time. He calls, people need money to fix up their homes, and they've been in these homes for a long time and don't want to move. Well, this product will help those families fix up those homes with these resilience features, and also allow them the ability to upgrade the kitchen, upgrade the bathroom, do some minor renovations around the home as well. So that product alone will add more scale to the program. And then resilience is for everyone. So every building in New Orleans needs resilience attached to it, regardless of the income of the people inside of that building. So we won't be able to serve the entire spectrum of the market, and nor do we want to. We really want to encourage the private financial institutions to start offering these products. So we'll always have our niche in the affordable housing side and the community development side. But there's going to be scale from us offering just a wider customer base, and then also other financial institutions coming into this market to do the same. And other housing and other development agencies too around the country, because as they do more, then we'll create a market for these types of bonds all over the country.
Exactly. And Damon, I would also just add to that, you know, as we hear Damon talking about the owner occupied piece, which yes, I'm very passionate about, because it's critical for this city to maintain its generational impact on neighborhoods that they've been tied to for so long. And as the population shifts in various neighborhoods throughout the city, this is an opportunity to keep people in their homes that they've been living in generations, keeping them in their neighborhoods, slowing down gentrification, but improving the redevelopment of the community overall. And what we have found is that with the owner occupied piece is a top strategy, again, for keeping our people in the neighborhoods that they've been investing in, and also being able to improve their properties from divert maintenance, for example, so they can be elevated just like they may see redevelopment happening around them. So it just creates a neighborhood fabric that builds in equity and inclusion and accessibility. And with, you know, this city being 300 years old, with the historic fabric and the historic homes, this type of product really does speak to, you know, home ownership of those that have been a part of this community for generations. So, and also in terms of scale, it allows the city to continue to leverage our resources to sweeten the pot for Damon to continue to reach more and more of homeowners, and creating new homeowners as well.
Other questions or thoughts? Colin, did you have anything else you wanted to add, or any other questions you had?
Just one. We had heard that Damon, Mayor Cantrell, that this is the first green mortgage on the Mississippi River ever. Is that accurate? Did we hear that right?
That's accurate.
Wow.
And it's accurate. And we have, you know, MRCTI, you know, to thank for that. And of course, the partnership with Qualified Ventures.
Wow, that's historic.
And Damon's leadership, you know.
Thank you.
Yep. That's fantastic.
Thank you, Colin. Thank you.
No, thank you. That's amazing. Love to meet that homeowner.
We'll all go down and meet them, just not this weekend.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, I mentioned in the presentation, we're working to expand that program, expand the options, because even though we want everybody to go full resilient today, right now, not everybody can do that. Not everybody's in that financial position. So what we've had to do with this program is create levels to it. So there's an entry level for someone who's just not quite ready to make that full resilience upgrade, but they need that package in hand that shows them what's possible, and they need a path, and they need the education. So we're going to have to do some building block activity for a lot of these green mortgages and get people ready. So it's an ongoing process. And there's a spectrum of, I would say, green mortgage products, and it's going to be different for every part of the country you go into. because the geographical needs are just different. So there's a lot of creativity I think is going to come from the green mortgage up as it expands up the Mississippi River and to other areas of the coast in this country, because everybody just has such different needs.
Well, very true. Seeing no further discussion, I personally want to thank Mayor Cantrell, Damon Burns, and Eric Letzinger again for your great discussion and tremendous session here today. And Eric, you've doubled up, so we appreciate you being here twice with your exciting announcement with regard to the next challenge being hosted by Qualified Ventures and MRCTI. We're now going to take a break until our matinee discussion later this afternoon with the United States Yeah, what do we got going? Okay. Mayor Stang is no longer silenced. You can see him on the screen. But tonight we're going to talk with the U.S. Geological Survey, all three of our major river cruise lines, and the U.S. Coast Guard about the future of the burgeoning Mississippi River cruising industry currently undergoing phase 2 of a marvelous renaissance. Please join us at 5 p.m. Central Time for this important discussion on how the cruise industry continues to recover from the pandemic and what our cities need to consider as that industry expands. So back to you, Colin, for any specific instructions.
Thank you so much,
There's
Mayor
Mayor Clips.
Gallagher.
He'll be joining us tonight.
Yep.
Wearing a different hat now, Frank. Good to see you, my friend. Go ahead, Colin.
Oh, no problem. Just want to say thank you to Mayor Cantrell. Again, please, Godspeed, be safe, and stay resilient. We will be watching this storm that you're currently enduring from Texas into Louisiana very closely, and anything that we can do as an association, we will be ready to jump in and assist, as well with all of our mayors in Southern Louisiana, from Mayor Broom on down. We will be there, and you can depend on us. We'll be watching this very carefully. But all of our best wishes and blessings for a safe next couple of days. Hopefully this one won't be too bad. It'll peter out quickly. On a note regarding New Orleans on up the river, that is a lot of the location where our cruising industry starts. A lot of the cruises begin in New Orleans and make their way upriver all the way to the St. Paul, Minneapolis area and everywhere in between. It is a crucial engine and driver of our economy along the Mississippi, and it's only getting bigger. So tonight, we're going to be leaving this wonderful space here at Worldwide Technology for our matinee conversation. And Mayor Stang, and he won't have to worry because we'll be using a different microphone. Mayor Stang and I will be coming to you live this evening from the new Port of Kimmswick that was just finished, built, christened, and visited by the American Duchess from American Queen Steamboat Company last month. And they've already done their second visit. So Mayor Stang and I will be coming to you live from his port in just a couple of hours for our matinee conversation. And we'll be going through an update with all the cruise lines and a very critical and a very practical conversation with the U.S. Coast Guard on what mayors need to know about how to refurbish and meet all of the safety and homeland security requirements that their ports will be subject to, thanks to all these new people coming to town. For the first time in over a century, we will have boats carrying hundreds of people, full river cruise vessels since the early 1900s, moving up and down the Mississippi. What do mayors need to know? What will they have to do? What will the law mandate that they condition their ports in order to make this a safe and secure experience for all these new visitors coming to town over the next couple of years through 3 full river cruise line industries? So that all to come tonight at 5 p.m. Central. Look forward to seeing you there. Thank you for joining us. And we'll be back here at WWT Tech Auditorium tomorrow morning. But until then, we'll see you tonight in Kimmswick. Thank you, everybody.
You bet. Thank you. I see Shelley's on the phone.